is Adam Messer, and I'm with the Adam Messer Show, and I'm here today with my special guest, my good friend, Bill Sorochak.
Good to be here, man.
And we are coming to you today from the Ronald McDonald house. We're actually in a little theater room, which is kind of neat. The families can come in here and watch movies and all. But Bill and I have been friends for, I think it's probably been like 7 or 8 years, something like that, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
I met Bill through doing an assignment for a newspaper article, and we just hit it off. And then over the years, I just have admired what you and everybody here at the house does for these families. And
well, it's been a good ride. I mean, I think we met in the first event was wine and fries.
Yeah.
And then right into the Red Shoe Run the next year. And then, like you said, I mean, and I think for people it's very cool. I mean, not only are you this amazing reporter back in the day, and now you're on podcasts, and you're always you're always doing things, and it's been very nice for us because I don't know if people know how philanthropic and giving you are, and when you've done various events from partnerships with the brewery companies and coffee shops, and you've always put the families and the children at the Ronald McDonald House to the front, and that's a lost art for a lot of people. So from that, I want to say thank you.
Well, thank that. I'll tell you what, Bill, you just made my day, because I look at it like, if we can, we can't change the world for everybody, but if we can help one person to make their life better, it's all worth it.
Well, I think people get lost in that. When you're in a nonprofit, you're asking for the two things nobody has enough of: time and money, and of course talent, and that you hope they have more than enough of. But I think people sometimes back away from partnering with any organization because they're afraid that it's only $1 in their mind. But I just think that it's lost that those dollars add up.
Oh yeah.
And $1 can make such a huge difference. And I think that we should challenge everybody out there to besides the obvious. Everybody's going to say the same thing: be kind. What's going on in the world today? In Europe, and it's everybody's laser focused. For these short times, but it goes beyond that, because at some point that's going to end, and it's going to be the next thing, and it's just like get involved with your passions, get involved locally. It's easy to get caught up in things that are far away and to be a part of it, and that's a great thing. But there's also things that are right in front of you. I guess it's the old forest through the trees comment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's so important too, because when you're and everybody, just kind of like a little background with the Ronald McDonald Charities. This is the Ronald McDonald Charities of the Coastal Empire. Bill's always referred to it lovingly as the house, and I love that. Do you provide a home away from home for families with children who are critically injured or ill?
Correct. And
the facilities here are nicer than most of the upgraded hotels. You've got a facility where they can stay. It's comfortable. It's it's not overcrowded.
Well, I mean, it's bigger picture than that. I mean, when you talk about a home away from home, you want people they're going through the most horrific times of their lives.
Right.
It's either been an accident in I-16, a premature baby, a diagnosis from a doctor that your child has cancer, and your world changes just instantly, and it doesn't matter what's going on, anything outside of this campus, your focus is right here.
Yeah.
When you're here, and it's not about that comparison.
Well, I'm not. I'm just trying to say with the hotel thing. It's if you didn't have a place like the Ronald McDonald House, you would be, if you're out of town or somewhere, you would be probably at a hotel.
Oh, absolutely, and you're not this close. I mean, that's where I was going with it. It starts with,
and we're right next door to Memorial Hospital.
176 steps to get from my front door to the front.
I didn't realize it was that close.
One right there. And when you look out front, that's the front door of and understand Children's Hospital dynamic is changing. That was always right there. Now NICU is right there, and now we have this incredible the Dwayne and Cynthia Willett Children's Hospital, freestanding. So all the other children's services, even from emergency room to PICU and everything else, is now a freestanding hospital. So it's on this campus. So we're right here. So for that family coming in, it goes beyond that. you stay at a hotel, no matter how nice, it's that one room. And yes, you have the one bedroom here, and you have that private bath, and you have your area, but then you get to come out, and then you come out, and there's a full kitchen for either you to, if you want to cook, we have some great people that, cooks that want to just cook for themselves, and it's a full service kitchen, to the community coming in and coming in and cooking meals and providing for everybody in the house, which could be at, pre-COVID times, 40, 50 people that you're cooking for.
Yeah. I know when I worked at the university, we came down a couple different times, and we brought maybe like 10 or 12 people just to volunteer to cook.
Right.
And that was, when you have a family, say there are 3 to 5 people in the family, and then you have like 10 to 12 families on any given night, and then people rotate in and out, they can come in whenever, it's convenient for them, because, the hospital stuff, it doesn't have like a schedule. They have their rotation when they have to go. Sometimes they're going to be there.
Right.
Sometimes they're going to be here. It might be 1 o'clock in the morning. It might be 9 o'clock at night.
Well, just being being right here on campus, you got families that don't have, we talk about it like it would be easy to, if you think about it, an average length of stay is 16 days.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and that's just, looking at every single unit, every single child family. Then you start getting into, a family of a premature baby that could be here 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Up until this year, our longest stay was 223 days.
Wow.
And we now have someone in the house today that's gone past that and is still with us. And you can't, I don't care, what you do for a living, if you had to spend, even with the least expensive hotel, and you start doing the math, 223 times that number just for that. That doesn't talk about food. It doesn't talk about having the ability to do laundry. Where do you do laundry in a hotel facility? You get the Wi-Fi probably, and you might get a little bit of food if they have some programs. But you're coming out here, and it's comforting. You're with other families going through something similar. The same thing is obviously it's child related, and what's really amazing about our charity is that it's 2 things that we are allowed to say to this community that very few people can. For us, it's every illness, every injury, so it's not a particular focus. And we're talking about covering we say coastal empire, but it's really whoever is here using these hospital systems. But the more important thing, especially in this day and age, is that 100% of everything we raise, everything that's donated, whether it's that in-kind stuff to very specific, we want to be very transparent. If you like the house program over the family room program, wherever that you want those monies to go, is where it's going to be used for all those families and children. But 100% of everything we do stays here. Not a single penny leaves this community. So when you give to our charity, where everything is. You can come and see the house. You can tour a family room. The house is for the most critical cases.
Right.
Family rooms are for anyone that has a child in the hospital. And then we have our Care-Mobile program, and that's in Beaufort, South Carolina. And it was the first ever Care-Mobile program in the history of Ronald McDonald's Charities. Ours was the first. And ours is a dental program. And if you looked at it before the world changed, on March 16th, of 2020, that 2019 year, to give an idea, the house, did its, 4,700 family night stays. The 2 family rooms served an additional 3,400 families, because when you use the family room, you just have to have a child in the hospital. So it's not, criticality isn't the issue, but you now still have a place that has everything that the house has except the overnight accommodation. So you can still take a shower, you can still do laundry, you can still take a nap during the day or have an area of respite, you can still get a snack, a soda, coffee, and you're even closer because the family rooms are right inside the hospital systems. And in 2019, the Care-Mobile program provided dental services for 2,700 kids seeing a dentist for the first time.
Wow.
And we share all that because those are those 3 core components of the Ronald McDonald's Charities component, and then you have the 3 core programs. And what's really amazing about everything is that we do all that because the house is a 24/7, 365 operation. Because whether it's Tuesday or Christmas Day or during a pandemic.
Or during a hurricane when
We
it
were
was
open.
shut down, you were still here.
We were here.
I remember when the refrigerators went out.
We lost everything. You know, I think it's. I love to see this out right now. Is that I think everyone in Savannah could just send us $1 then as a thank you, because you know when we had the big first hurricane, you're right. We were 8 days without power here, and families. We utilized the family room. Temperature wise, it was good enough that we could stay here during the night with the dads. The moms were safe in the hospital. Someone tried to break into the Ronald McDonald's door right behind us. Someone tried to break in, which was nuts. And you know, in the first 2 or 3 days, like, okay, you know, it's fun. We're eating chips and all that. And I'll tell you, that got old quick, right? Well, it was, but it got old quick. And then, so then the 8th day, we finally get the power back, and then, you know, we said, okay, we have to make changes here. And then it was the next year we had the second hurricane. And we finally, right after that, now we were only out of power 2 or 3 days because the grids had changed. We were on the hospital grid, so we didn't need a generator all those times. But then we didn't, unbeknownst, then we learned the grid changed. So right after that second hurricane, we were able to put in a brand new generator that runs the entire facility.
Oh, wow.
And we haven't had a hurricane since to that. You know, we've had the scares. So I think Savannah, everybody just sent us $1. It's because of us. That hurricanes have gone away because we got a generator, so we're ready finally, and now there's no hurricanes, which is great, and we're so grateful.
Well, I think it just kind of really hits home with the point of, you know, even during a hurricane, when most people have to evacuate, you know, they don't think about, like, you know, we think about like police and firemen staying here. We think about, like, you know, power.
You're absolutely right. I mean,
they don't think about, you know, like these kind of services, because you can't just transport you know, a patient who is critically injured or ill. They have to bunker down.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to. It's crazy. I will say it's frustrating when you know, all during COVID is like, you know, if you're a first responder, you know, we're gonna. Well, we were too. We just aren't classified as that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Everything.
No, it's understandable. It's like it's almost like it's almost like not that people overlook it, but it's just that they don't know and they don't understand the depth of what kind of commitment this job and this career, this not just the job and the career, but this level of commitment to the community is.
Well, it is, and it's interesting too. Is like, you know, that first year of the first big hurricane, the hospital system, you know, looked at it, and as you said, very poignantly, it's. Okay, we can't transport these families because of various reasons. And so the first year, the families that were with us leading into the hurricane stayed with us through the entire hurricane. The second year, because there was a little bit more notice and there was a thought that second hurricane was going to come right up the river system and hit Savannah straight on, and geared, the hospital was able to transport, you know, both via air and vehicle, all our families except maybe 1 or 2. But what the community didn't realize is that once that happened, you know, other things happened once those families went out, and then we ended up being right back to full because there was other, you know, there's still situations going on. The hurricane missed, but you know the periphery of it hit us a little bit, but not to the same magnitude. And when that happened, we then had all these families that needed desperately a place to be, especially because once they got in here, you know, we had families out. Families were out like maybe 2 days before the storm hit, and except for that 1 or 2, and then when the storm as the hurricane hit, we suddenly were back to full, and you know, and for us that's 13 beds, and it was surreal, you know, all these new families coming in and having to deal with that, and then waiting. And then trying to get everything switched over after the effect, because you had families coming back. So it was you know, the days went by quick.
I imagine having to juggle all the logistics of you know, just people, like not just managing the house, but helping those families during that time of crisis.
Yeah, it's you're getting a lot of balls up in the air when you're juggling, like you said. But the thing I'm over, you know, going back to the hurricanes and the best thing I could share, which encompasses everything always with this house, was, and I was just talking about this week. You know, when it was March 11th. I was heading with one of my staff members to Charleston. We were supposed to be going into to an event, and as guests, and then we had meetings with the Charleston Ronald McDonald House, and we left that, I think it was like the 12th, which was that Thursday, and we made it, everything was blowing up around, and we weren't sure. By the time we had driven to Charleston, I had people call me saying they're talking about shutting the bridge down. I don't know how you're getting back.
Yeah.
We went to the event because we still didn't know, and they were having the event, and we met with the Ronald McDonald Charities of Charleston the next day because we had a lot to do together. And on that drive back on that Friday, which was the 13th, we were formulating plans, and I was with my development and events director, which was going to lead to the first ever Savannah virtual event, which we didn't know at the time.
Right. Nobody knew, right?
I share that because when I walked into this office, into this house on Monday, and all my staff were here, I was in the process. We shut down volunteer programs. We had just shut down the camera bill because we knew the schools were talking about we're not going. The hospital was telling us we're closing down the family rooms, as we're going to limit who's coming in the house or to the hospitals. But the house was here, and I sat across from my staff and I said, I cannot ask you to stay because we don't know what this is, and nobody knew. Was it going to be it was almost 6 to 8 weeks, or was it going to be 12 to 16 weeks?
Yeah, because at first they were saying everybody for 2 weeks.
Well, it was going to be 2, and then it was 6 to 8, and but we didn't know. And what are we going to do? And I had made a decision, but my decision was specific to me. I've stayed through both hurricanes. That's my job. And I looked at, the words hadn't come out of my mouth when every single staff person, without looking at each other or anything, just looked up and said, we're here, we're all in, because this is when the families need us the most. And when you work with people in an organization that are that incredible and amazing, and didn't blink, and then we spent the next couple hours formulating, plans, who's gonna, house operation manager Megan Chandler and I said we're gonna do it first, under the assumption, because what you were reading, nobody knew, right?
Yeah, nobody knew.
Well, one of us, we're gonna get sick, and when we get sick, then Janet Kolbush, our development director, is going to be the next in line, and then, Hetty Warlick was our programs person at the time, and she was the next in line. And we got in, and it was so surreal. Nobody on the roads, and we're driving in with our letters and from the hospital, and us in case stopped. And Megan and I worked 78 straight days.
Wow.
Before, now you're, that's over 2 months in, obviously almost 3, and and in 3 months, although still very poignant, we could say, okay, it's time to, we need to get different people in, and we need to do things, and honest to God, we, knock on wood, we got through 2020, albeit with a lot of tests, not one case of COVID on the staff. We had our scares with families. I think the funniest story to share, just because, and I'm sure my staff's going to kill me, but when you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, right.
So we had one of our cancer patients was, so when we have cancer patients stay at the house. The kids are here because usually they're getting their treatments during the day. Obviously, they can't travel because of the chemo.
They're not sitting in a bed.
They're not in a bed until
they're here. They go through the treatment
and they come back, and of course then. They're not doing well while they're here because you're sick from the medicine.
Right.
And this is why this room becomes fun, because it's the game room. There's Nintendo Switches. There's a Starlight Fun Center, which we can wheel into the rooms, that has like 70 preloaded Nintendo games on, trying to take care of them while they're here. So one of our cancer patients is here, and they just got back in, and later that evening, and you had all the conversations, and it's hard to get away from your history, and our history is families, kids, we're all together. We're in their business, right? In a sense. So you have this beautiful little girl battling cancer. So of course, regardless of what your mind knows, staff still was around them a little bit more than they should have been with it being COVID. Not to anybody's deterrent, but everybody's on campus, because you couldn't, when you were staying with us, this is, well into COVID, you're staying with if you were staying here, you couldn't leave campus. It was here to the hospital, hospital to here.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to CVS across the street. You couldn't go home, which is normal, so you couldn't do it as and if you did that, then you had to stay out because, testing was very, as we all know.
Oh yeah.
So this is like a Wednesday, Thursday night, and like 10 days later, we get a call from the state saying, because what happened was that Thursday night, she spiked the fever. Well, her white count was down, so we went right down. So she was so sick from everything going on with the cancer that she was put in the hospital, so the family wasn't coming back. 10 days after that, we get a call from the state, just to us, never went to the family, never went to the hospital, saying that the child had COVID, which made no sense. How did you even know she was at Ronald McDonald's, right? That's what everybody wants to ask, and we didn't know. But this pops. Okay, it was 10 days. This is when you had 14 days quarantine, right? We've already been 10 days. Nothing's going on. Right. Everybody's fine. But being due diligent, the staff member, the house ops manager who checked them in, although because you had to be, but everybody was always masked. There was never that. But we didn't know then, right? Again, you don't know what you don't know. So I say to the house ops manager, okay, you checked them in. I know it was 10 days ago. But this is a Saturday. You're gonna have to get tested. And then the evening manager, well, I did, play with the child but again, 10 days ago, nobody, and we don't know because every day, 7 times a day, you're communicating with the hospital then. Who's fine, everybody okay, we're checking temperatures, everybody's masked, the common areas, this room didn't exist. You couldn't come and just hang out here.
Yeah.
As groups, it was like one family at a time. Right. Nobody was near anybody. Everybody stayed to the rooms, and everybody was really, really good about that. So food went out, and when food was food time, you had a shift to go get your food, so you weren't out to get
exposure.
But here we are, 10 days. I said, day 11, you gotta get a test, and we're on this text chain, and I'm not really paying attention. And what, for the audience, what was funny is you got one of my staff members is up in Statesboro at an urgent care, and one staff member, the same of the two, is here in Savannah, and they're just so happen to be at the same time, not by choice, not by design, just that they both got up at the same time, they both went and got in line at the same time. My staff member from Statesboro, I just had group text. To both of them, how's everything going? Have you, and Megan says, I'm next here. And Jess says, oh my God, what? They stuck a stick up my nose and I think they touched my brain. Megan goes, what? Now I see that she's it, and she can't stop herself now, and she's not paying attention. Megan's going, please stop. And she's like going, no, they touched my brain. My nose won't start running. It was the most painful thing I've ever had. Please stop, because she's about ready to get the same thing done to her, right? And I'm in there saying, so did it hurt, right? And so it's now become our comical moment. Yeah. And then finally, at some point, Megan says, for the love of God, please stop. And then I think that's when Jess noticed it, and all you can do is laugh, right?
Yeah, right.
And then, now it's day 11. Nobody had it. But we still waited the 3 more days. We still made sure everything was above board. And we went through 2020 and 2021 with all the protocols we had put in place and stayed on top of. And I think in 2021 there was just because it was like 28 tests that had to be done for various staff members at different times, and we did not have one COVID case.
All right, so everybody, this is the second part of the video. Thanks for the technology. Using my iPhone, which I love doing this. And we were just talking about 2020. We're dealing with COVID. The world changed. The world's shut down.
Sure.
You're still running the house. Families are still here. They're still getting treatment at Memorial and the hospital. And you'd set up the protocols, trying to keep everything where not only your staff were safe and healthy as possible, but also the families who are here dealing with injuries or cancer or all these different things that that they go through, the gamut of it. And I look back and I feel like this is something that we can all kind of relate to. But like you said, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you have to just go through it. Even now, like right now, it's this video. Like whenever you watch this video, y'all, we're still in the heart of all this COVID stuff. We're still not out of, but I think what we're a little bit more used to, having to deal with it. But like my family, we all were the same thing, but we ended up getting COVID last October.
Oh right.
And it was just unexpected, and I mean like same kind of thing. I would just go to work. I'd work with, the folks that I had to work with. I would go, if I had to go to the grocery store, masked up and all that, and go home. And that was it. I wasn't being around people. And I think, we could plan, we could do whatever we want. But, one of the things that I've always, had a place in my heart for with what y'all do here is you can plan the day as much as you want, but things happen and you cannot imagine, like your child being sick or being injured or whatever. And the house providing that environment where they can come and have some kind of solace and some kind of, place to decompress, some place to have, that's comfortable and that they can, have their family time together when they're not at their house. That's one of the things I've always admired, especially being a dad. You're a dad, and I've always admired the tenacity that y'all have. You're like, we are going to make sure that these families are taken care of no matter what. During the hurricane, during COVID, no matter what. That's a theme that I've seen over the years that I've known you and your staff, and just seeing the heart. You can't teach heart. People have it or they don't.
You're right, and
I love that about y'all.
It's and even before COVID. I mean, I think not even with the circumstances, just that day, because you have everybody that's at this house. Everybody that's been walking by as we've been filming this. You don't realize it. You don't think about it in the light that we do. But everyone here is a phone call away from being told their child is passed.
Well, and not to interrupt, but just before the interview, you were talking with a family that just lost a child, and I still don't know how to process that.
Well, I don't either, and that's a great question though too, because everyone always asks us that. Everybody's worried about you. Always worry about your staff and mental health. And everybody does different things. I mean, there are times that maybe my maturity level goes down, but I think it's for my sanity. I mean that in the nicest way. Everybody does something different. I mean, there was
try to take some of the stress off.
We've gone the whole gamut too. I mean, we've had Nerf gun fights, believe it or not. We do. Or
in your office is all kinds of superheroes like Captain America and all that decorating the wall. I love that.
See, and I would love to share that because when I got here, in 2012, you have this, and I think sometimes it's lost.
I think we met in 2014 actually.
It was 2012. Yeah. It was 2013. It was the end of 2013, I think, and then in 2014.
Yeah. And I didn't realize you'd been here for a couple of years. I didn't realize that because it feels like so long ago.
The time does fly by. It seems like yesterday. It was like 2011 when I was first coming down. We moved down to Savannah, and then I was here in 2012.
Wow.
In 2013, we had all things going on. The house had to shut. This year, July 11th of 2022, we will be turning 35 years old serving the community, which is it's a big deal for us.
That's incredible.
And we're very excited about that, and in the history of everything, it's just really just amazing. And going back now into it was 2013, 2014. You're right. Superhero theme started, a little bit by accident. I'm really into Marvel, and my staff got me these two posters. One was just a poster, and it was put on my door, and it was Spider-Man of all things. but I'm a big Captain America fan, and so they did a framed Captain America print. So my office looked a lot different. In 2014, there wasn't much stuff there. Now, if you walk in there, you know, all the families know all this, and you always, I mean, I've got boxes among boxes.
Yeah.
So I just came and put up, which is.
You have a big Captain America shirt.
But we got the shield on the door. It was a gift from my family. So I only had these other ones, and we were trying to, you're trying to get things squared away. And I'm working at my desk one day, and all of a sudden there's this child that I don't know at the time. I don't know it's Alex, but there's this 8-year-old boy standing in my office, and he's just staring at the Spider-Man poster, which is here. My desk is here, and then on my wall is Kevin. He can't see the Captain America, but he's just looking. I said, hey buddy, and I know we have check-ins coming in, but I don't realize at the time, or I don't know, and I realize it, you just don't know, again, what you don't know.
You haven't met him yet.
So this is our patient, this is Alex, and he's got cancer, and he's looking, I said, do you like Spider-Man? He just kind of shakes his head. And I said, I do too. I said, but I'm more a Captain America fan. And so he walks into my office and he looks at the Spider-Man, and he looks back at Captain America. And this goes on to a point where I put my pen down, I'm just sitting back, and he has not said a word yet. And finally, he turns around and he just looks at me. Here's this 8-year-old kid just staring at me, these big eyes, and he says to me, so you're the good guys? I said, well, yeah, we're gonna, and now I piece it because I can hear down the hallway. We're gonna take care of you and your mom. And before I could say anything else to him, he goes running down this hallway, jumps in his mom's lap, and she's in the middle of the check-in with my house operations manager at the time, and just squeezes his mom and says, it's gonna be okay. They're gonna take care of us. You can imagine everybody's now crying their eyes out. You can't. So when it finally stops and we get everything settled and we get Alex checked in, and we sit down and say, you know what, that's it. They're the superheroes. We're gonna be the sidekicks, but everybody's gonna pick a persona, and so now over the years, I mean, I obviously stayed with Captain America, but we've had Wolverine, we've had Hulk, we've had Black Widow, we've had the Batman, and when we do Halloween, we're always dressed up in character. We do reverse trick or treat. Before COVID, we would do reverse trick or treat.
The 5K runs.
The runs, but it was just a reminder to the staff, and it goes back to the stuff that, we're here for these families, and it's not saying we're heroes in any stretch of imagination.
Right.
It's just saying, look, we're going to make it as fun for the families when it needs to be fun. We're going to be a shoulder to lean on when that's what's needed. We're going to stay away if they need their time, because every moment is a different situation where the family's going through what they're going through. And you learn those things, and I think there's a lot of people. I think you would be great at this job in being in this. I know you say you don't know how you do it, but yeah, it's people with big hearts, and it's my staff. My staff, that is here 24/7, and they just give it their all. And you hope that as leadership, you can take care of them and when it's needed, and you see when people need that extra time. And some weeks, we'll go months and things are great. I mean, we were just talking about this the other day. I mean, we went through, 2020, from March when COVID started until December, and we're very blessed with all that chaos going around us that we didn't lose a child during that time. Because I don't know if we could have handled that on top of everything else, right? So you have all these things going on, and then you're like, okay, but what's really, and you don't want. I mean, I've been doing this now 18 years, in RMHC, and tens of thousands of moms and dads, grandparents, or guardians have been able to take their child home, which is amazing, and as important as on my watch, I've lost 300 kids, and for the most part, I've been blessed to get to speak to all those families at some point, either right after or months later, and what lets you put your head on the pillow every night, knowing that you've done good is the fact that those parents who have just gone through what no parent wants to go through are grateful because they were those 176 steps and got all that extra time that wouldn't be possible if you weren't on this campus or in this house. And it's just an amazing place. It's, you know,
I look at it like you can't take their burden away from them, but you can help them carry it.
well, that's true. I love that. It's true. And again, sometimes you can't even do that. I mean, and that's just the thing about being here. It's about understanding that there's this is not a cookie cutter kind of place.
No,
you know, you
every person
tie
that
in.
comes in here is
There's a
they have
different story.
a different situation, different story, different needs.
And,
You know?
and you hope that you hope that you're able to give them what you need, and you can't always do that.
Right.
And you do your best, and the staff here, you know, from and beyond the staff. I mean, it would be remiss, you know, we're not to focus on the volunteers help us run this facility.
Right.
Yeah, and our volunteer program had to go away for the longest time, and now we're back to finally getting it back together. You know, our board of directors, the leadership that we've had from the Ronald McDonald House, because every house is independent each other, so we are our own 501c3, and so our board's direction and guidance and
The restaurant owners, you know,
And
the
that's
community at large.
you
You
know,
know.
doing our events. I
Yeah.
mean, we're very fortunate. You know, Wine, Women, and Shoes has won Best Charity Event in Savannah now 4 years in a row, unheard of.
And the biggest, like I remember last year, that's like your big event, and not being able to host that, you know, that is a huge hit on the operation costs because of the finances that go into just, you know, keeping the lights on.
You keep the lights on, the doors open.
Things like that, you know, keep the water running.
I will say that that's and there's that third leg of that stool. I mean, you got staff obviously, and you've got the volunteer component, and then you've got the community. And the community, I mean, you know, in 2020, you're right. We do 4 events a year. We were able to really have one true event that late in that year, but the other 3, one of being our biggest event, we didn't have, and yet, you know, staff, and I hate, you know, it's just, you know, if there's going to be people on my board who are going to laugh if I say the word, because we've had this conversation. We're not allowed to say words anymore. This is one of them, pivoting.
Oh, yeah,
you pivoted. I'm so sorry.
Oh, man.
I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I'm using the word that we're not supposed to use. It's you do that, and you do that, but you know, when you give thought, you know, big broad stroke, you know, in 18 years, we always pivoted. We just never used that word.
Right.
We always were prepared for pandemic because when we just called it flu season, and other organizations didn't do it. We had that same, you know, from September through, and then every year it was different.
Yeah.
And everybody getting their flu shots, and you know, I think the only thing we didn't, you know, do as much, there was some masking, but it wasn't the same as it is now. And this house was constantly, because, you know, again, the volunteer component, always clean this house. So, you know, from 1987, when we first opened these doors, all the way and through, you know, here we are in February of 2022, those things haven't changed. I mean, so we were prepared for it. I think what was amazing is the community. I think is, you know, our community is very smart. And besides the obvious of what we talked about earlier, 100% of everything staying here, which is the big one. And of course, every illness and every injury, and that's from newborns to 22 years of age. So it's a very, very broad area of service. But I think what COVID did for the world, in the sense of nonprofits, is you really saw, in my opinion, and I'm not going into the essential thing either. What you really saw were the organizations that are just needed. I mean, there's some amazing organizations.
The services that y'all provide in the community that are often not noticed.
I think they were highlighted. I think
they're like,
and the reality was this, and this is what I said in 2020, and the staff, you know, the staff and I, you know, when asked, you know, anytime you were, you know, if someone was asking for a quote, or you were at some kind of, you know, in 2021 it changed a bit, so we did have events. the simple
But
thing.
even that was scaled down.
It was, but even then, what I was going with is that we just shared what was the truth. And
Right.
the truth was, we just did our day job.
Right.
We didn't repurpose ourselves.
Right.
We didn't, although protocols may have been enhanced, we didn't change the day-to-day services.
Right.
We still provided a home away from home.
Mhm.
We were still 176
Right.
steps from the front doors of the hospital system. We were still an area of respite for our families, albeit at times 6 feet away,
Mhm.
but we were always there, and still have been. So we didn't change. We really, honest to God, did our day jobs. And not a lot of people were able to do that in our field. You know, in our field, it was like, well, and their hearts were in the right place, but it was just a reminder, hey, some things in this world have more importance than other things, and it's not to take away from those other things.
Right.
It's just that when these things happen, when the world changes, when we wake up and we don't recognize what the day looks like because of something like this.
Yeah.
You know, and now here we are in February 22, and you have everything going on in Europe, which obviously is going to trickle down in many ways.
Mhm.
And when you're in the nonprofit field, I mean, you're going back to that. Well, in order to keep the lights on, you have to fundraise. In order,
Yeah.
and as those money's going to be there if, you know, markets drop or gas prices increase, and obviously, you know, everyone has to, you know, and we're just coming off 2 years of everybody, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just been crazy. And so for that, it's really, really cool to just be a part of all that, and knowing that this house that Love built, you know, has so far stood its ground, hasn't blinked.
Mhm.
We stayed at 85% capacity in 2020, and the only reason that we weren't at 100% was that, you know, when we were in early stages of COVID, one of our families had gotten a phone call that their child had COVID and they needed to be across the street, and everything turned out, you know, the child was resuscitated. Everything was, you know, they ended up going home, like, you know, 45 days later, everything was great and roll, except when they got the call, they were doing something in the sink in their room and left it on. When they went running out, and we had a room flood,
Okay.
and with COVID, we
hard
couldn't
to
bring, well,
Yeah, it's
we
hard to
have
get-
amazing partner with Belfort Property Restoration, and they do all the coatings in the house. You know, if you come in, you see there's a 3-step thing that Belfort, and this is all donated. They came in and all during COVID and were spraying the house, and, you know, so they were able to come in to clean up the mess because we had so much confidence in everything that they were providing and how they did church. But I couldn't go then and go to anybody else to say fix the room, because I wasn't letting anybody else in the house.
Right.
So our percent went down losing that room, but not because we couldn't provide the service, but we couldn't, right?
Right.
So when you get those kind of things, and you have those kind of partners, you know, Belfort Property Systems has just been the reason, I believe in my heart, during this. In addition, when we talk about protocols, and they were just coming in and coating this house, you know, with this system where, you know, it was preventative. It was, you know,
It's like for mold and
no, I'm talking about it was just all about the COVID thing.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
so like a
I thought you meant for that water.
No. I mean that. Well, they did,
Yeah.
yes, and then they did do
Yeah,
that
that could be a
too.
big
But I'm
problem
talking about the
flood.
day to day for the last 2 years,
For
because they
sanitation,
just
yeah.
came in.
Like the sanitary.
Or,
stuff?
yeah, and it's a 3-step process, and the way
okay.
they describe it is like it puts down these little needles that when you touch these little needles, which really are needles, it's just how you describe the descriptor of it. But it's that surface is coated, but you don't see it, and you're protecting yourself from you passing those germs to
I
that
gotcha.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing, and that's been yet another reason that, you know, of the partners that we have in this community, that, you know, why the success of staying open. I mean, even when we did our golfing event, Belfort came out and made and sprayed all the carts, even though those carts were probably, you know, were already clean from our part, above and beyond. And I think that's what we just
Well, it gives
get.
an extra level of security, and it also gives people that feeling of like, okay, yeah, we're trying to get back to normal, but we also want to be smart about this because we are still trying to deal with, you know, the
Normal is good.
Right.
Will we ever get back to normal? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I
Well, the new normal, right?
The new normal.
Kind of,
Or if
you're
you're
pivoting, you
right. Well, I know say or if you're a Mel Brooks fan, you know, was it Abby normal?
Okay, so let me ask you, Bill. Let me ask you. And I just have to say this, y'all. If you are this far into the video, thank you, because I have admired what you and your staff do.
I'm sure they've already shut down.
I know. You know, like 3 minutes in, they're like, "Oh, thanks, I got all I need." But if you're this far in, seriously, I've admired what Bill and his staff have done. I didn't realize that you've been doing it for 18 years, because I've known you since like 2013, 2014, something like that. So it's coming up on 10 years or close to it. And the fact that you go through these different, you know, like the hurricane was a major event. COVID has been a major event.
Still.
You know, we have the situation that you deal with critically injured and ill children. That in itself is so heavy. You know, they use a word. It's something that is just, you have to take it seriously, but also, you know, like you have a little bit of levity, because it's like, well, you know, we use humor to release stress. We use humor. They say laughter is the best medicine, right? And having a place where people can let their hair down and just take a deep breath and like, you know, like I've had a rough day at the hospital with, you know, the doctor saying this or whatever. They're, you know, I'm sure that the parents are worried when you're talking about, you know, your job. You know, if you're away from your job for 30 days or a month, yeah, you could do the Family Medical Leave Act, but they're not paying you unless you have some kind of temporary disability insurance.
No.
And so a lot of the families, they're not, I mean, most of the people I know are not independently wealthy, and they have to work. And this gives them some kind of respite, you know, from that, you know, the complicated layer upon layer upon layer of situation that they're dealing with. And it gives them a chance to say, hey, I can focus on what my child needs right now, because I have a place, you know, that I don't have to worry about, am I going to have to, you know, pay the monthly, the bill or whatever it is here. I can come in.
Right. There's no bill here.
Right.
No bill here.
So the volunteer dollars, not just the volunteer money, but the contributions that people make through charitable donations. And I say volunteer dollars because, like, some people, they can't physically donate a little bit of time.
No.
But $1, you know, in the charity world or charitable world or whatever, or nonprofit world or whatever, when 100% of that goes right back into the house and it goes into the operation from day to day to help take care of the families, when you think about, you know, we always hear only like so much of this goes towards that. You know, towards that charity or whatever. You always hear the nightmare stories on the news, you know, like somebody, you know, misappropriating the funds or whatever. When you hear that something like 100% of every dollar goes right back into the house, it makes me feel like, okay, wow, you know, when I am able to, you know, donate money, that money, I don't know where it's going to go, but I know it's going to the house. And I know that it's going to go to help somebody. Like, I can't be the hands and the feet at the house and be able to be here with my time. But if I could do things in the community, and this is why I'm trying to extend this out to our community in general, people don't realize that even, like you said earlier, even $1 can make a ripple effect.
Well, I mean, you can even drill down even easier than that. There's so many opportunities. I mean, like you said, I mean, it's 100% stays here. I mean, when you're a nonprofit, there's still administration, so it's like 84 cents, and we're one of the, you know, our charity is, you know, you look at.
Well, that's operations to run the house.
Right, and that's what and we're 24/7, so we don't have.
But it's not.
We don't have that luxury.
Something.
Yeah,
else.
No, and we don't have that. I share that because we don't have that luxury of being with some, you know, say, well, we're going to shut down it for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, right. And we're not, you know, and you're not spending, you know, on all these different things. But for those outside of these walls, you know, the opportunities, and there's so many different things you do. I mean, it's simple things. It's like, you know, as you said,
isn't there a donate button right on the website?
Well, there is, but there's even, but if you really, if you know us, or when hopefully after seeing us, you know us better and you want to find out. There's so many things. First off, you go to that, you know, from the website. Yes, can you donate on the website? Absolutely. Can you donate on the website and do it for any particular program or reason, or for families or whatever? You do all those. You can go to the website and download a volunteer application. Volunteer programs are coming back up. Now
That's awesome.
Can you donate 3 hours and take a shift at the house so that
and you don't say, hey, if you can't volunteer, 20 hours a week, we don't want you.
No.
That's one of the things I like about that.
Well, and what's nice about the volunteering is there's different things. 3 hours at the house for a shift, or
right.
Now the family rooms are going to start opening up. Going over to the family room if you don't want to come to the house and you want to be more hands on with families. There's those options. Come in and cook a meal one time a year. Pick a date. 4 to right now it's only 4 people cooking. We're not back to the.
I don't blame you.
But you come and you cook. You buy the food.
If you need it.
Just drop off. We need.
You also have a list of critical items.
We have a wish list list on that website, and now with our hospital program starting back up, we've added a hospitality card for children. So now we need the full size items like deodorant or shampoos for the house, but we need the travel sizes to be able to give out in the hospital, both in the family rooms and the hospital. So now you have that.
So there's a lot of different ways to get involved.
Then heck, you don't even have to come on. You might be that person that's like, well, it's fine. But if you go through McDonald's now, round up.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
the
easy.
most you're gonna you're gonna give us is 99 cents. Because that's it. If your bill's 12.01 and you round up, it's 99 cents. 99 cents.
Yeah.
Or it's 15 cents at a time. But you tell them, you have to tell them McDonald's. It just adds up. When you're inside, it asks you on the kiosk. If you go through the drive-through, we're doing a whole campaign on it. It really was going to be a big thing, and then it happened with COVID happened. So I think the message has been lost. We have some great partners with WTOC that's really putting a brand new message up for us on the PSA. So hopefully we'll, tell people that you have that. Hey, you want to just do fun stuff, because people, there's gonna be somebody out there that says, well, I don't want to, I'm afraid about being in the house, not because of illness, because I don't want to say the wrong thing to a family, and you won't, but you say that, but you want to go, but you're a fun kind of person. Volunteer to do one of our events. We need help with the run. We need help at Wine, Women, Shoes. We need help at Beer Guys, Cigars, Golf, and things. We need help at Wine and Fries. Mm-hmm. Then you're just doing an event. Again, one day out of 365. And then if you want to say that's even maybe too much, I've got the simplest thing that we all have in our day is that when you have a soda or an adult beverage that has a pop tab, take the pop tabs, collect them, and at some point, when if you're coming by here, we have these our pop tab bins are outside. We can't go pick them up.
Do they still have little cardboard boxes where you can?
We do.
Yeah.
You come by and get
we
houses.
had that set up at the school when I was there.
And
you put it in the kitchen. We just pop it off. Boom.
Southern Eagle is one of our major partners for the year, and they're getting ready to start a whole campaign throughout all of Southern Eagle, both in South Carolina and Georgia. Because when they have these products that are damaged, they're just the product reprocessing. But now they're going to go through the extra process of taking the pop tabs.
Oh wow!
But
and the reason why for the aluminum there is because the pop tab is not coated with it's more pure aluminum.
It's a pure. So here's the thing, and everybody here's the fun fact for everybody, and then there's you're going to laugh and then you're going to go wow. That's what I'm going to do to you. So a pop tab's 1 inch. This program was created back in the 1980s up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because 1 inch was a great thing for bringing into schools. How many pop tabs in a foot? How many pop tabs from Minneapolis to St. Paul? How many pop tabs does it take to get to the move? Do all your fun calculations. So programs started here. We used to have in a big, with the schools, before the schools had a fundraise too, we would do pop tab pandemonium, and they would create sculptures of pop tabs in contests. And we have big weigh-ins, and then again everything pivots. But now it's just collect your pop tabs, drop them off. So it takes 1,128 pop tabs to make a pound.
Wow.
Okay, it takes 1,128 drinks. That's what I'm telling your audience. 1,120. Not a challenging anybody, but 1,128 drinks to make a pound. When you take a pound of pop tabs to recycling, they're going to give you 45 cents.
Right.
So 1,128 tabs to make 45 cents. And everybody's like, but this goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier. $1 makes a difference.
Yeah.
One pop tab makes a difference.
Yeah.
Last year, we did $6,000 in pop tabs.
Oh,
and
wow.
The math on that means in this little house in Savannah, Georgia, 13,748,110 pop tabs
Wow.
were donated here.
Wow.
So one
And
tab.
that's just the people that actually do donate it.
So I'm saying one pop tab added up to $6,000, and you're like, that's a lot of work. Well, is it? You're taking off a pop tab when you drink. You're throwing it in a plastic bag on your counter or in a mason jar or wherever else.
Yeah.
And at some point, you're like, okay, it's kind of full, and I'm just gonna go by. He's like, go by on Water Street, or I'm driving by in the Truman. We're gonna pull in, just dump them into that thing, and we're gonna move on and not think about it. And it hasn't cost you anything because you already had bought the drinks. You weren't buying them for the program. And we just do the pop tabs because it's part of our history, but it's also easier to manage. We're not a recycling center, but it makes a difference. $6,000. If we ask our families, when you stay here, there's no bills. If you don't want to contribute, you don't. And
Or if they're not able to. Right?
Well, whether you want to, able to, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're gonna have. We know you're gonna have. But we say it's 10. If you would like to make a contribution, it's 10. It's $10. Actual cost to house a family of 2, and this does not take into any gas being around. If you got a hotel and you had to eat, occasionally do laundry, I mean, it's $100 to $150 to serve 2 or 3 people in one room. So of that, we're saying, can you donate $10? Last year, we had 4,500 family night stays. If we had gotten $10 for every night, it's $45,000 for us. We got $2,000, which is great because it's not about that. It's the reminder to families that, hey, look, this is a community that is putting this house here for you. This is a privilege, not a right, to be at this house, to respect it because you have a communal environment. We're not going to talk religion. We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to talk sports a little bit. But even then. But you're here for one reason, the most important reason, that your child's across the street.
Right.
So now you have $6,000 that were added up one pop tab at a time that just did 600 of those donations. For $6,000, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a simple thing. When people always say anything, I don't have time, or I don't have the extra money, we respect and get that. But there are other things, always something if you want. We're talking about us today, and I'm sure other organizations have some pretty very cool things to do. I care about this one. I think that, I'm sure it's a tainted look at it, but I still think we're one of the top charities in this community for what we do, how we do it, and I think the last 2 years really highlighted all those things. But that's just me. I say that because when viewers, people ask, and we have a team board, a volunteer board for freshmen and sophomores. We have a yellow shoe crew for juniors and seniors. We have the Red Shoe Society for 21 to 39ers, and hoping that and any of those kids get out of their experience and any of those boards that somewhere down the road, it doesn't have to be the Ronald McDonald House Charities. We would love for it to be, but you might find your passion is with animals. You might find your passion is with the homeless. You might find that your passion is in serve. And we hope that we can help with that for those that we are partnered with at different times. And we always want it to be us, but we also respect that people, as you and I talked earlier, just do something.
So Bill, we've been having a really good conversation. We were just talking about how
and we can share.
right. Well, to pivot into this,
you're killing me.
No, I'm just kidding. You have to watch the earlier part to really get how we're coming into this. But you were just talking about, like for me, this is my charity of choice. I really enjoy.
Mine too.
I love what y'all are doing. I really enjoy, being able to contribute, and with the time and like the Books and Brews event that we've done with the authors over the last 4 years. We haven't been able to raise a ton of money, but it's been over I think 4 years we've been able to raise almost like $1,000.
Absolutely.
And every year my goal is.
Appreciate.
Oh yeah, the goal every year has been to raise $1,000. Every year I want to raise $1,000. Or I'm not quite at that level, but we do is we partner with South Coast. Gosh, I'm thinking South Coast Brewing Company. Yeah, I had a brain crack for a second. And then we partner with the coffee shop out in Pooler called the Front Porch Coffee Shop. But I think they just changed their name to the Three Tree Coffee Shop.
Oh, okay.
So, and
really good coffee either way.
Yeah, right. And local authors like Josh Vasquez has been out there, Rebecca Hammer, Elijah Hurt, myself, Wimstrock. Some of these local people, they come up from all different places. People come out, and that's a way that like you were saying, that you can do things that you enjoy doing, and be able to contribute to the house. There's a lot of different needs here.
Oh, yes.
And that's one of the things I really enjoy about it, because the books thing, publishing books or whatever, being in the media, working with Savannah Morning News or whatever, and having my own radio show or whatever. And this is, now I'm doing the Adam Messer show, by myself. I'm not doing the radio show anymore. This is a way, as an example, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying as an example of, if you are a writer, or if you are, let's say you're a mechanic, or you might be an administrator, or you might be whatever your skill talent is, that area, you have a way that you can help them have a volunteer match with
absolutely.
the house.
Absolutely. I mean, third party events are a big thing. People just showing up and saying, on a big business, here's a check for $250 because we made Friday Jeans Day if you paid $1.
Right.
Simple things like that, and they go on, and you have others that do percentages and all this, and we are very, very fortunate to have a lot of great partners in the community that do it big scale. I mean, Huckapoos is a great example.
Right.
They do the pickle run because they had the experience, but they didn't need the house. But they've been doing this now for like 11 years, and I run it. I ran it the day I got married. I ran in that thing, and then you got married in the afternoon. It's always a Saturday after Thanksgiving, and yet it raises $11,000 as a third thing. The Savannah Mustang Club is another really great organization, and when they, the 1 year, they do it every year, and we get anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000. And when they had the national show, I think we got close to $30,000. Then there's just the schools showing up and saying, when you walk in, you can't help but notice all the HE laundry detergent.
Yeah, there's like 50 bottles right there.
Our one of our schools does it every year, and the list goes on, and all these things are helpful things. It's raised, have them, individual snacks, or it's HE laundry detergent, it's pop tabs, companies. So there's just a lot of things, and then if you don't know and you want to be involved, it's just an issue of calling the house and talking with Stephanie or Janet and saying, I'm interested in doing something. I don't know what that is, and come sit down with us and let's or fill out the volunteer form, and it kind of asks a lot of those questions because we want people to be paired with things that they're going to enjoy. And you're right. Everything you've done, that's made a difference, and it's not about.
I want people to feel like, even if they feel like they don't have a lot to offer, they might not have the time, or they might not have a lot of money, or they might not have, they might feel like they don't even have a skill set that they can offer. I want people to understand that they have a way that they can contribute, they have a way that they can impact it, and that, you all are very open-hearted and very loving to not just the families, but also the community and the volunteers and the folks. I mean, like every time I've called and say, hey Bill, I'd like to interview you, either for the newspaper or for the radio show or whatever. Every time I'm like, you've always made time. Always made time. You've never blown me off and said, hey, I don't have time, or whatever. We've had to, sometimes we'll have to arrange a time. We might have to adjust the time. But like this week, you had a conference that you had to go to. And you're like, hey, I'm not able to do it this day, but can we do it another day? That's that's the message I want people to understand, is that, as an outsider, as me just being an outsider, I'm not, a volunteer at the house or anything like that, that you can get involved, you can contribute, and it doesn't have to be, the Mega Millions
No.
You know, it could be the $10. You could say, hey, you know what? I've got $10. I want to pay for somebody's room for tonight.
Yeah. Or is that, you know, you talk about it. It's not lost on any of us here, you know, from staff to the board, that you know, we do what we get to do because of the community. And if somebody's not willing, it's always been frustrating and been, you know, my daughter's just turned 28, which means I've been in nonprofit 26 years now.
Wow.
And in 26 years, in various places in the country, it always has amazed me that there's so many nonprofits that just do this.
Yeah.
You have to give to us because we're a good cause, or you have to give to us because you did give to the Ronald McDonald House, so now it's our turn. It's not. And people are allowed to say no. And there's that side of it, and there's the other side of it. And if someone's going to come in and say, Bill, I'd like to do an article on the house, or Bill, I want to sponsor an event, or Bill, I want to drop off. Well, I'm not saying that we can always be there, because nobody can do that. Yeah. But somebody can. But it's not lost on us that we want you to be able to do. We want you to the experience to be good. Yeah. We want what you want out of it, and everybody has a different reason, and it's okay to have a different reason. I think that's important to the audience. Yeah. It's okay to say, look, let's remove the first thing.
Let's take the guilt away. It's guilt-free.
Well, it is.
It's guilt-free.
You're with us because you have a big heart.
Yeah.
Now let's get beyond that. Now, if it's to drive business to your business, God bless, because you know what?
Well, that's a good
if that happens for you,
well,
if it happens for you, and we do it like we're
don't
supposed
expect
to.
it.
No, but no, I'm not even saying that. You should. You know,
I'm saying it.
Oh yeah.
I'm saying
if
you're going to donate or you're going to do an event, I'm just going to say it. If you're going to do a charity event, don't do it with the purpose of I want to bring business to my business.
Nope. That's wrong. You're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong. And here's why.
I'm saying it because you should.
No. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. Well,
it's a circle of life thing. Seriously.
Yeah.
I already know. We'll use you as an example.
Yeah.
You're trying. You have now bought said coffee shop.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the way that your coffee shop is going to sustain day to day is to have customers.
True.
Business model.
Yeah.
101, right?
Yeah.
The way that you're allowed to give back to my charity is because your customers are more than just what you need to pay your bills and stuff.
Okay.
Right? Okay?
Yeah.
So if we partner with you, and I'm not saying that in the sense of we're going to make people come, you know, we share when we can, you know, everything's different. But if that helps, that is a perfect reason to do it, because now, okay, I partnered with Ronald McDonald House, but we sat down and we were looking at it, and our goal was to increase in coffee sales, and we did, and we did a give back, which now benefited, and I wouldn't have been able to do said give back if I didn't have the partnership. Now it's successful. So now it's like, okay, the Ronald McDonald House was as advertised. You know, we sat down, we had a plan. You know, this, you know, we listen. You're going to tell us, and we're going to say, well, this has worked in the past, but you know, it's your business model and all that. We can help with those things. And I'm not saying that everybody's doing this, but when you do it, though, there is nothing wrong with it. I think that's the biggest mistake that people are afraid to say. People are afraid to say, I'm looking to grow my business.
Yeah.
But if you grow your business and I've helped do it, you're going to come back to me and say, okay, this partnership
that makes sense.
So here's the circle of life. We're going to go Lion King, right? Only in a positive.
Yeah, because I always looked at it like, you know, don't do something like to volunteer or whatever, looking to get something in return. Because
I need good volunteers. You know, when we bring our volunteers, these freshmen and sophomores in, there's a guideline. You want to be on the volunteer and you want to move up to the Yellow Shoe Crew, you have to do 45 hours. If you don't do 45 hours, you don't move up. So you have to do ours. Do you want to always do those 45 hours? Probably not. But when you do, you're helping out the children and families and our organization, because now the house is cleaner, or you've helped with wherever it was needed. You know, it's like that fireman mentality. But I'm telling you, anybody's listening, do it for the reason. Now, don't look at, you're not going to get rich off of this. You're not. It's just, it's going to be.
Has to be an ethical partnership.
And God bless. If you do, then you're good. Yeah. But it's not. That's not what we're talking about. We're saying it's okay. I think the biggest myth has always been in giving is that people are afraid to say to you, "I want to grow my base." Because if you want to grow your base, and I just say, "Here's a picture of Adam. He's a great guy. No, seriously, right? That's all I do for you from my side. I have a social media. I have a social media presence.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Right? So now I'm going to say, here's Adam. He's a great guy. And go on Saturday because Adam's Coffee is going to donate percentage to the house. It's going to help care for the families.
Yeah.
Or Adam's going to come in.
Yeah. Well,
and Adam wants to come in. And Adam wants to come in after.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, do you have a big check? I'd love to do it, even though it says $500. Yes, absolutely. You know why? Because $500 from you, and then $500 from Timmy, and $500 from Jane starts adding up.
Like
and
the
then,
pop tabs.
Like
just
the
like
pop tabs. And then suddenly, I got $13,748,000.
Wow.
And that would be the goal.
I'm so glad that you educated me on that because, that was a misconception. Now, I felt that people do feel that way. Like, they don't want, like the attaboys, like, oh, he's just doing this because he wants the attention.
And I know people worry about it. I know people in this community are like, I'm not doing it about me.
Right.
And I'm not really doing it because but the benefit is, but we all know ultimately it allows a business that's failing as much as biggest heart a business has can have the bigger heart than my staff all put together. But if they're don't have the extra money, which we've talked about numerous times in this last hour, then they're not able to donate.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and this is, and I want to point out to everybody, the misconception on this side is that where you were going with it's a little correct. Says if you're doing it with the expectation that you're suddenly going to make your year because of that one event, that's not going to, and that's unfair to the charity because the charity is out there saying, look, we're not promoting that. We're not going to say, I'm not going to say, and I can't say, Adam's Coffee is the best.
Right. There's no way.
I'm not
you
endorsing. We're not endorsing. We're saying Adam's the best, and his coffee shop's doing this for us. And I think that's when it gets a little sideways with people out there thinking it's I'm going to suddenly make $10,000 extra today for my company. Mm-hmm. And there are times we just don't. And don't get me wrong, we are very careful about our partnerships because it's integrity and transparency. And those people that used to come out and say, hey, sell these, sell the trinkets. Well, it's a book and it had coupons in it and the book's $25. You're going to get $1 for every one sold. Well, you just made $24 to my $1. That's not a partnership.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You had people like in certain states and when I was in South Carolina, you can't do this because people would come to a charity and say, hey, we're going to do a bingo and we're going to give you, you have to do anything. We're going to use your logo. You're going to say a couple words at the bingo night and we're going to hand you a check for $20,000 in your night. But at the end of the night, they raked in $140,000.
Right. They had the lion's share of it.
And that's, but by us, we're not going to tarnish the brand, the bad, the logos are important to us as you. And we're not going to do the same thing to yours. We're going to make sure that when, David Pence, Allstate Insurance, who was our first ever corporate sponsor and still with us, 7 years later, because we always, it's a sit down saying, how does everything benefit the families and children?
I would say this, David Pence is an awesome guy.
He's incredible. He's a board member now. He's on his second year on the board, but he's been involved with this house for 7 years.
Wow.
He was the first person that stepped up and said, and he has a connection many years ago to the Ronald McDonald house, which is one of those checklist boxes. You have a connection, you do things, you know the mission, you check things, you get into an event and you're inspired. It's a check. You know somebody that used it. It's a check. But David can check all those boxes. But he has been bar none, and he's the first person that says it's not about me. I don't want it to be about me, and it's not about him. And as much as we want to make it about him, he won't even let us. And that's a rarity in the world too. But
that's exactly how I feel when we're doing the events and stuff like that. It's not about me; it's about the house.
Well,
it's about us,
raising money, but it's also
going back into helping the families.
And so you have those things, and we're all better off for the David Pences in the world. We're all better off. Now he's into expanded.
He's got the Wolfgang.
He's got the Wolfgang bakeries now too.
And the dog bakery.
And they're a supporter of Willow, who's one of my team members, and obviously she's the director.
So can we say David is a great guy?
David is a great guy, and what he does for this community not just us, but he does for this community every single day is amazing.
Yeah.
Those are things we can easily say without hesitation, without anything other than thank you, David, for being there for Savannah and beyond. Thank you, David, for being there for our children and families, because he is just nothing short of well, he is. He's amazing.
Fantastic guy. Yeah. So if I am understanding, like I said, I had a different viewpoint, but so if I'm understanding this right, it's okay if you're a business owner to want to partner with the Ronald McDonald House
or any other charity.
If
they will.
We're talking about the house today.
I know.
So I'm gonna,
full disclosure.
It's full disclosure, but it's okay if you're saying, hey, I want to have an ethical partnership that helps drive sales, that helps the community with the house.
Absolutely,
that's totally okay.
And you're gonna have business that will do it because someone in their organization used the house.
Right.
And they're doing
one of our authors, his child was at a Ronald McDonald house when they were
so you have business that will do it for that. I was going with it. It's not just about raising money for the business. It's also, what's what your employees want, and it's
I used to call it corporate citizenship,
or helping out when their family's staying here. There's a multitude of reasons. I'm just saying, don't ever go down the path of that's a bad thing, because it's not. Because again, it has its merits when done correctly. And we will always make sure that our partnerships are about that. We're not looking, to be doing 75 different things. When we talk about third party things, and I think it's a misconception, is we can't go to every event.
No,
I only have five. I got 5 full-time staff, and their importance is here.
Yeah.
When we can make events, or if the events are big enough, we're like, I'm always going to go to the Huckapoos.
Oh yeah.
I'm always going to be at the Savannah Mustang Club. I say the Ronald McDonald House will always be there, because the amount of monies, and those are organizations where they're doing saying 100% of everything raised goes to us.
Yeah.
Those are the things that will get us more. We can do. I'm not gonna. I mean, the reality is we will not blow up. If someone's giving 10% off on Saturday.
No.
That's a you thing. That's what makes it a third party event, is that you're doing it for that reason. You will hopefully generate that extra business. You're giving that 10% to the house, but it's not up to the house to raise that money.
Right.
Because we just, and I say we in the broad stroke of nonprofits, nobody has that kind of staffing in order to do those things. So when people come in and say, I got this great idea, it's gonna, I was going to raise $10 for you. That's great. Just bring us the $10, and I mean that with all due most respect.
Yeah.
I can't then tell a staff member who's over $10 an hour to go out there when I'm only getting $10, because now the net at the end of the day is negative.
Yeah.
And it's not what it's about.
Yeah.
So that's why we say, we love the surprises. Someone says we just did a third party event. Here's the check, whether it's a school or a business.
Yeah.
We love when someone comes in and says, I have an idea about wanting to do something. What do you think? And there's some things we can be a part of, and there's some things we can't. But we're going to make sure that everything is done the right way. If you just have a big heart and that's all you want us to focus on, then we will gladly focus on your big heart. If you want to focus on business, we put the heart to the side because we know you have a big heart being there. Perfect. If you want to focus on employee recognition or taking care of employee, we will gladly help with those things.
Yeah.
So all of those being said, if any of those people, whether we end up working with them or whether we don't, if your child gets sick,
still gonna take care of it.
You're gonna be in this house.
Yeah.
One has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
It doesn't put you to the head of the list. It doesn't put you to the back of the list.
Right.
We're going to serve the most critically ill children and their families every single day, and that's what our day job is.
I love that. I think that's a great place for us to wrap up this talk. Hey, let me ask you, what are your final thoughts with someone who they don't know where to get started, they don't know how that they can contribute? How can they get involved?
I think it's just reaching out, saying, look, I don't know what I want to do. In our case, it's fill out that form, just a volunteer form, and you can honestly say in it, we're doing a volunteer form. We're going to do background checks. We're going to do the due diligence to make sure everybody here is in a safe environment.
Right.
And then we're going to sit down with you, because the people that say I will do anything, that doesn't work, because I can give you a job that'll make you never want to come back. Right? Anybody can. Dig a ditch, clean toilets,
wash the windows.
It could be a thing that you would be like, the other day that my talent was wasted. In your mind, it was what someone might need.
Yeah.
But I would say to that person, in our case, fill out a form or make a phone call. Say, look, I don't know what, and I'd love to sit down with you, hear the whole story as relates. Tell us about you. We want to listen to you. What does Adam like? What does Adam, what makes him smile at the end of the day? And just be honest about it. Because if you're honest with it, then we can partner with it and say, okay,
you can figure out a place to help somebody.
I love taking, I really like cleaning and doing other things. Well, yeah, taking a shift, because there's those things that are available to them. There's a whole checklist. I really like watching and being a part of golf. We'll volunteer at a golf event. We'll put you on a hole. You're gonna watch, not PGA golfers, but you're gonna be involved and around something that really enjoys it. And as you and I know, and maybe we're not that thing, and maybe you learn that. You come in and you don't like kids. It's not, then we're not that charity for you. Or you think you want to do something, and then you just gotta be honest with it, and tell people. And I think you gotta be honest with yourself, and then to whoever you're partnering with. Hey, look, I really thought I would like to sit in the house for 3 hours, and answer the door and answer questions, make sure everything was perfectly in it. But after sitting here for 3 hours, the ADD kicked in. It's just ADHD, and it wasn't for me. And do that. And either let's find something else, or maybe it's not a partnership, as opposed to just ghosting an organization. Because when you sign up, you become that lifeline for us to help take care of our mission. And it's no one wants to chase you. We're expecting that. So you just don't show up for a shift because you're not happy about something. You got to share. And that's what anybody. So reach out. Be honest about. Don't say what you think that nonprofit wants to hear.
Right.
Be honest to yourself and to them, and then when you leave that organization, and hopefully it's ours, you will leave and you'll go home and you'll put your head on the pillow and you say, I did an amazing thing today.
Yeah, I love that. Bill, thank you, man. I really appreciate you. I thank you and your whole staff for everything you do here, and I really appreciate you doing this talk today and this little interview or whatever. And over the years, I just felt like I love seeing what you and your staff do. I love being able to contribute, and then I also the whole thing I love about what y'all doing is that you have a huge heart, and that you really do care. Not just I don't know how to say it, but you really do care about not just the families, but the people who are involved here, and you always are so gracious with everybody. So thank you very much, man. And thank you for being an awesome community leader. No, don't be humble. You are an awesome community leader, and you deserve kudos, and your staff deserve kudos. And so I just want to say thanks a lot. And I want to go on the record.
I appreciate it. And I'm going to say this.
One of the reasons why I love y'all, and your charity of choice is my charity of choice.
We'll leave on this note. I will say two things. One, we really appreciate you all these years, and I think that for your listeners, it's refreshing to have someone who doesn't just talk the talk but does the walk. And
that's you.
That's you, brother.
No, that's you.
But seriously, I'll end on this, and we'll really end on this. And it's like I'm not any of those things. I'm really not. I did my day job.
I love that, and you're very humble, and you're also a wonderful person.
Well,
so thank you, Bill.